Focused with a renewed clarity, the Samsung Galaxy S6 is metal where its predecessors were all plastic. And if the Korean giant had done just that, framed the Galaxy S5 with metal, it would have been enough for many. But the company went further, way further. The Galaxy S6 is distilled to many sharp points, the results of years of user feedback. If the Galaxy S5 was a lion, all unkempt mane, self-satisfied and bloated after being at the top of the food chain for so long, the S6 is a cheetah, built for aerodynamics and speed, always aware of potential prey in the distance. Samsung acknowledged as much by using the codename Project Zero, a clean slate, a new beginning. That's not entirely true though. There's a lot of the old Samsung here, from TouchWiz idiosyncrasies to unwelcome pieces of bloatware. But the Galaxy S6 and its counterpart, the S6 Edge, are the company's best phones to date, and potentially the best Android phones ever made. Up front, the showstopper, a 5.1-inch QHD Super AMOLED display with a pixel density above 600. We thought we'd never need screens this sharp, and we don't, but there's nothing wrong with a bit of wiggle room. Retina this isn't. This is Retina Plus. Samsung makes its own displays, and as a result keeps its keenest innovations to itself. But we've seen hit and miss screens at this resolution before. What's more impressive is that Samsung has managed to maintain the superb viewing angles of the previous Galaxy S devices, while improving color accuracy and max brightness. Being Super AMOLED, colors are definitely more saturated than your average LCD, but no one can accuse Samsung of overcompensating the way it did in the past. The Edge is especially neat, because the glass wraps around a curved display, making the phone appear narrower than it actually is. This optical illusion has a few practical purposes, but unlike the Note Edge, which cordoned off a small 160 pixel area for content, the S6 Edge merely offers an infinity pool effect for existing Android content. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it gives the effect of making the phone appear slimmer. Samsung wisely cut off the edges before the bezel, so it didn't have to relegate the volume and power buttons to places users couldn't reach them. The Edge can do some cool things, just nothing that alone justifies the $100 cost increase over the regular S6. Like the Note Edge, it has a nifty night mode, and you can choose up to 5 contacts to be easily accessible when swiping from the side of the screen. But it doesn't look like Samsung is encouraging developers to create Edge experiences for this version the same way they did for the Note. You can still do them, but why would they? It's an opt-in experience, only for when the phone screen is off. Releasing two phones with nearly identical spec sheets belies a conundrum in the industry today. Samsung likely wanted a device to stand out, to gain the attention of people outside the tech bubble. The Edge does this to some extent, and while I think it's a beautiful piece of hardware, there's no way I'd recommend it over the far more comfortable, less expensive Galaxy S6. With its new phones, Samsung has poured a lot of resources into its camera proficiency, and it shows. Double tapping the home button no longer activates S-Voice, but now enters the camera app from any screen, even when the phone is off, in under 1 second. Low light is massively improved over the S5, and it trounces at sometimes even the HTC One M8 and in some respects the iPhone 6. Optical image stabilization helps, but it's that f1.9 lens, the first available on a smartphone in North America, that really does the trick. Samsung has also mercifully cut down on the number of built-in camera modes, though there are still quite a few, and many more to be downloaded. There's a new Pro mode, which uses Google's new Camera 2 API to nearly its fullest capabilities, and third-party apps like the manual camera that you can see here stands in, allowing users to change shutter speed and other important settings. There are elements of restraint throughout the new version of Samsung's Android UI, formerly known as TouchWiz. There are fewer app pre-installs, though the ones that are here and can't be deleted are infuriating. I'm fine with WhatsApp and Facebook, but at least let me delete them to save space. Similarly, Samsung has entered a distribution deal with Microsoft, so OneNote, OneDrive, and Skype are preloaded. Again, useful apps that I actually like, but let me delete them. They're third-party apps. But Samsung's most egregious fault with its new UI is trying to look and feel too much like iOS. The company has done this in two ways. First, the app drawer can no longer be sorted alphabetically, or in any way. Apps merely show up in the order they were downloaded. You can create folders inside the app drawer and bring those to the home screen intact, But the app drawer, at least from Google's perspective, is a directory, a place where I can pick up objects and move them elsewhere. I don't want to actually spend time there. I want to get back to the home screen as soon as possible. In many ways, it's a strange decision, but overall it's just bad design. Second, the company has replaced Android 5.0's typical three-dot menu button with the word menu, or more, or extra. At our briefing in Barcelona, the company explained that it was because users didn't know what the symbol meant, but Google, and indirectly Samsung, has been perpetuating this symbol for years. Like other aspects of the UI, the move feels like a capitulation to attract iPhone users, but it just doesn't fit in with the aesthetic. There are other iPhone-like aspects to the Galaxy S6, but in this case they're all positive. The aluminum frame, for starters, is a big upgrade from plastic chrome Galaxies of the past. The S6, and to a lesser extent the S6 Edge, is comfortable and light, but sturdy. The glass back is extremely fingerprint sensitive and at times slippery. But these are by no means deal breakers. They actually improve the overall feeling of the phone. To maintain thinness, Samsung has opened itself up to criticism though by removing the microSD slot and nixing the removable battery. It's a controversial decision for sure, but Samsung's now shipping the base S6 with 32 gigs of internal storage. Also present are features that users will love. Samsung's new touch-based capacitive fingerprint sensor is a massive improvement over that of the S5, which involved a vertical swipe. It's fast, as fast or faster than Apple's Touch ID, and accurate, supporting up to 4 fingers stored on the device. It doesn't yet allow you to do much else than unlock the phone. Most apps don't support it, and you can't use it to authorize payments from Google Play, but unlocking is enough. And the combination of wireless charging and turbocharging more than makes up for the slightly smaller battery cell, necessitated by the phone's thinness. This is the phone that will bring wireless charging to the mainstream, and it's about time. Supporting both PMA and Qi standards, all 3 Canadian carriers are bundling wireless chargers with the product, so there's no reason not to use it. It's just an excellent feature. But then turbocharging, which isn't unique to this phone, ensures that you can get up to 80% battery in just 1 hour. But what wraps this package in a bow is the addition of Category 6 LTE, which combined with carrier aggregation from Rogers and Bell, pushes the speed boundaries of what we've seen on any smartphone to date. The S6 isn't the first smartphone to support Cat 6, that was the Note Edge released earlier this year, but it's the most mainstream. In my testing, both devices hit speeds above 150 megabits consistently, but the beauty of CA is more about capacity than speed. Users will get higher speeds with better coverage in more locations around the country. Battery life really is the only area that the S6 gets hit compared to its predecessor, and that's a trade-off Samsung is fully aware of. Give users a smaller battery, but allow them to charge it faster, more easily, and in more places than ever before. I still managed to get a full day of use, often between 13 and 16 hours, with on-screen time between 3 and 4. But worse battery life than its predecessor is not something most users will take lightly, and Samsung will certainly suffer a hit with many of its core enthusiast users who counted on the ability to hot swap batteries when the going got tough. Ultimately though, the Galaxy S6 and its Edge counterpart are the best and most enjoyable Galaxies I've ever used. They're paired back in the right places, with less annoying idiosyncrasies, like the lack of a whistle notification, thank God, and foibles that are far more forgivable than in any previous version. Samsung focused on just finally making a great smartphone, and it did.